In 2024, I thought I had hit on the idea of the century. 2 years later, I had lost everything, and I understood the terrible mistake thousands of people are about to make in 2026. This isn't just a simple tale of failure. It's a warning. It's the minefield map I wish I'd had before venturing into that territory. So listen closely, because what I'm about to reveal could save you from falling into the same deadly traps. It all started one evening, while I was scrolling on my phone. I was fascinated by artificial intelligence and the wave of nostalgia sweeping across social media. Then, it hit me, why not merge the two? Create an ultra-personalized memory box service. The concept was simple and, to my mind, brilliant. The client would answer a detailed questionnaire about their childhood, their tastes, the 90s, the 2000s. And my AI algorithm, which I called Kronos, would analyze their answers to create a unique box filled with vintage items, retro candies, a replica of a lost toy. It was more than just commerce, it was an emotional time machine. I poured everything into it, my savings, my time, my energy. I was convinced I had found the business of the future. Little did I know, I was laying the first stone of my own prison. Here is the first category of business to avoid like the plague in 2026, the technological mirage. Chapter 1, the technological mirage. My AI, Kronos, was my killer selling point. I talked about complex algorithms, emotional deep learning. The truth? It was a facade. A very well-designed questionnaire, certainly, but one that only gave me keywords. The AI was just a marketing gimmick to justify a high price and give an aura of modernity to a concept that wasn't modern at all. The problem with businesses based on a tech gadget is that technology isn't the business, it's a tool. In 2026, with AI becoming commonplace, anyone will be able to claim they have AI for anything and everything. If your only added value is a buzzword plastered onto an old idea, you're building on sand. Competition will sweep you away by offering the same thing, without the jargon, and cheaper. I learned the hard way that customers buy a result, an emotion, not an algorithm. I was so blinded by my stroke of genius that I didn't see the first crack in my ship's hull. But that was just the beginning of the storm. Chapter 2, the hypersaturation trap. Convinced of my uniqueness, I launched. I created a magnificent website, incredible visuals. I was ready to conquer the world. And that's when I took the first uppercut. By doing a more thorough search, after the launch, I know, a rookie mistake, I discovered I wasn't alone. Far from it. Hundreds of small shops on Etsy, Instagram, TikTok were selling 90s nostalgia boxes, personalized memory boxes. They didn't have my AI, but they had communities, thousands of reviews, and prices half as low. My blue ocean was actually a bloodbath. I had entered not a niche market, but a hypersaturated one. This is the second business to avoid in 2026, the one that rides a trend already visible to everyone. If your entire newsfeed is talking about the same thing, whether it's dropshipping a certain product, creating content on a particular platform, or services related to a new technology, it's probably already too late to get in. The wave has passed, and you're just a drop in a tsunami of competitors. I had to fight not to innovate, but simply to exist. And the worst part is, the reality of my daily work was about to hit me even harder. Chapter 3, Slavery Disguised as Automation. My website promised a seamless, technological, almost magical experience. The reality, in my small apartment-turned-warehouse, was quite different. The AI wasn't scouring online marketplaces for me. It was me. Me, spending 12 hours a day on eBay, Lubon Coin, Vint, searching for a specific figurine or a rare audio cassette. It was me, negotiating with sellers, managing deliveries, checking the condition of each item. The business I marketed as AI automated was actually one of the most manual and time-consuming jobs in the world, a treasure hunter and personal shopper. I had become the lowest-paid employee in my own company. This is the third category of business to avoid, low-value-added manual labor, disguised as a modern concept. In 2026, beware of anything that sounds digital but which, behind the scenes, relies on hours and hours of repetitive tasks that you can neither delegate cheaply nor truly automate. You're not building a system, you're buying yourself a low-paying job, with the added stress of being the boss. Every order was both a victory and a new sentence of sleepless nights. And I still hadn't realized I was swimming against the tide of a force much greater than myself. Chapter 4: The Surfer on the Dying Wave. At first, the nostalgia trend was so strong that despite the difficulties, sales were coming in. People were seeking comfort, a return to an idealized past. I rode that wave, but waves, by definition, eventually crash on the shore. After a year and a half, I felt the wind change. The novelty faded. Influencers moved on to other things. The economy shifted, and a €150 memory box was no longer a priority. My business was entirely dependent on a fad, a fleeting collective sentiment. This is the fourth type of business to avoid, the pure trend business. Whether it's a viral TikTok product or a service linked to a one-off event, if your business model can't survive the end of the hype, you don't have a business, you have a lottery ticket. And most tickets are losers. In 2026, look for fundamental problems, perennial human needs, not volatile desires created by social media algorithms. I was trying to keep my boat afloat as the sea receded beneath my feet. Chapter 5: The Abyss of Invisible Costs. On paper, my margins seemed correct. I'd buy a toy for €10, a packet of candies for €3, and resell them in a box for $150. Easy, right? Wrong. Terribly wrong. There was the cost of the box itself, the personalized tissue paper, the stickers, the thank you card. There were shipping fees, which were skyrocketing. There were transaction fees from payment platforms. There was the cost of returns, when a customer wasn't satisfied or an item arrived broken. There was the cost of my time, which I wasn't even factoring in anymore. There were taxes. At the end of the month, when I did the math, I realized I barely earned enough to pay my rent. My revenue was impressive, but my profit was paltry. This is the fifth business to avoid, one with opaque profitability. Typically, businesses with physical products and a low average order value, like low-end dropshipping or subscription boxes. Hidden costs will eat you alive. In 2026, before you launch, track every single cent. If your business model doesn't work with a gross margin of 70 or 80%, you are in danger. I was in danger. And the worst part is, I realized that my very role in this value chain was fundamentally precarious. Chapter 6: The Useless Intermediary Syndrome. One day, a customer sent me a message that changed everything. Thanks for the box, but I found the same doll on eBay for €15. Why did I pay you $150? That question hit me like a ton of bricks. What was I actually bringing to the table? I was just an intermediary. I wasn't manufacturing anything. I didn't possess any unique technology. I was merely connecting an existing demand to an existing supply, taking a commission along the way. I was just a curator, a glorified go-between. This is the sixth type of business to strike from your plans, one where you're just a middleman without any real defensible added value. With increasingly powerful tools, customers can find, compare, and buy for themselves. If your only skill is finding products on one platform to resell them on another, your lifespan is limited. You're replaceable by a more efficient algorithm or a cheaper competitor. You must create, transform, or offer a service so exceptional that it becomes irreplaceable. I was the complete opposite of that. I was a commodity. And that's when the last, most dangerous bomb blew up in my face. Chapter 7: The Data Time Bomb. For my AI to work, I collected a huge amount of personal information. Childhood memories, very intimate tastes, dates, names. I stored it all in a simple spreadsheet, without much concern for security. Until the day I received an email from a lawyer. A disgruntled client accused me of abusive data collection and non-compliance with the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR. Total panic. I knew nothing about it. I suddenly realized that the goldmine of data I thought I possessed was actually a legal minefield. I was sitting on colossal liability without even knowing it. This is the last and perhaps most important business to avoid in 2026, the one that toys with personal data without solid expertise and infrastructure. Legislation is tightening. User trust is paramount. If your business idea involves collecting and processing sensitive information, and you're not an expert in cybersecurity and law, don't do it. The risk of bankruptcy, colossal fines, and reputational damage is far too high. That was the end. Between the financial pressure, physical exhaustion, and legal threat, I stopped everything. I sold the little stock I had left and shut down the website. I had failed. I had lost everything. But looking back, I understand that this failure was my best education. It taught me to see beyond appearances, to spot the traps behind dazzling promises. So, for 2026, remember these 7 lessons, paid for with my own tears. Shun technological mirages, beware of hypersaturated markets, refuse slavery disguised as automation, don't bet everything on a dying trend, analyze hidden costs down to the last cent, don't be a valueless intermediary, and never play with other people's data. My story is over, but yours is just beginning. Use my mistakes as a springboard. Save this video so you don't forget. Don't forget to subscribe.